Hello and welcome to the Expanded Woman podcast, where we talk about all things spiritual, personal, and business development. I have a guest on today. Her name is Allie Temple. She runs retreats and she's also a coach. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. Just a quick little brief intro.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Sarah. So, I help experienced yoga teachers and coaches fill their international retreats and generate passive income streams so that they have the freedom to travel the world. I myself have been traveling full time for about 5 years now and running retreats around the world as I travel. And it's really a passion of mine to help others scale their businesses so they have the freedom filled lifestyle that works for them, whether that includes travel or just really living the life of their dreams and running the business of their dreams as well.
That's very aligned to what my whole mission is too. And you are originally from Vancouver, correct?
Yeah, I am from Vancouver, Canada. Yes. So I'm actually in Vancouver right now, which is a very rare. It's been close to 10 years since I've lived in Canada, but I just came back for a little retreat and a little visit with family and heading back to Asia to the other side of the world next week.
Ooh, fun. I love that. And was it a retreat that you were running or were you attending it?
Yeah, I was running it
Oh,
on,
cool.
I don't know are you're a Canadian, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just outside of Edmonton.
Okay.
Mhm.
So Vancouver has all the little islands close by. There's an island called Bowen Island, which is quite a magical little island. And I've done a couple of retreats there. So that's where I was just about 10 days ago for the retreat.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Such a beautiful place. I love BC so
Mhm.
much. I definitely plan on having a second house somewhere there,
Mhm.
to be determined, eventually. But I would love to kind of ask you, like, what what started you on this journey? Like, what were you doing before you were doing retreats?
Well, I feel like I've had many lives in this lifetime. I started teaching yoga over a decade ago, and before that, I was living in Vancouver, and I was actually a competitive figure skating coach. And as you do in Canada, ice skating, but I basically worked my way up to the top. I was coaching in a highly competitive one of the top skating schools in the country. Got to that point, worked really hard to get there, and realized this is not for me. I am not a cutthroat human, and that it's too political, it's too intense. So that was when I went to my first yoga teacher training, and that was in Los Angeles. And I basically quit my job and put my stuff in storage and went to LA on a one-way ticket for my 500-hour teacher training and didn't know what was next and stayed for a while until Canada was like, you're not allowed to, or the US was like, you can't be here. You're not allowed to be here any longer. So I came back to Canada for a couple of years and then saw an opportunity for me to move to LA, which was really where I wanted to be. The sun was calling me. I just wanted something different. And so I was offered a 5-year visa to move to LA and help run a few hot yoga studios there. So that was kind of my initial move towards retreats. I was teaching in LA full time at those studios, really giving all of my time and energy to those studios. And I loved a lot of aspects of that lifestyle. But once 2020 hit, I had the opportunity to stop what I was doing and really reflect on, does this lifestyle work for me? I was totally burnt out. I was barely making ends meet. I wasn't really leading retreats yet at that point. And that was when it was a really pivotal moment for me where everything shifted. And I saw an opportunity to start my own business and start leading the retreats the way that I wanted to do that and just be in charge of my own schedule and work from anywhere. So that was when I started to grow my business and travel all at once in 2020.
Oh, wow. What a time to start your business. It's so interesting to me because I feel like it's such a similar story for so many women in our industry that we started our journey with a yoga teacher training. It seems to be like a big stepping stone for a lot of us. And I'm not teaching yoga anymore for similar reasons. I wasn't doing it full time, but um, just a couple classes a week, I was like, well, it's so much energy and it's not a lot of pay. And I'd rather run workshops where people are actually coming to seek my medicine. You know what I mean? Whereas like yoga
Mm-hmm.
classes, oftentimes it's like you're sharing from your heart, and half the people are like, they're like, we're just here to work out, like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love that. And I'm sure that anybody who's been a yoga teacher or is a yoga teacher can relate to the burnout from
Yeah.
teaching. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one. And a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they're in kind of similar situations where they're pouring their heart out and they have the loyal in person job and they are doing some retreats, some workshops, things like that. But they're just not, it's not an equal balance for them as far as the pay goes, and they're looking for something more. And that's exactly how I was feeling as well. And as someone who just grew up in a small town in Canada and just kept chasing after my dreams, I think that it's a great example to show that you can create the lifestyle that you want to create as long as you have the confidence to go after, the courage to go after it, and you seek the right guidance and support, and you don't give up. So
Yeah,
those are the kind of things,
absolutely.
yeah, that I
And
share
I
with my
think
clients.
leaving the town that you grew up in, I was just having a conversation with some friends about this yesterday, is such an expensive thing to do for yourself, you know? Like
Mhm.
the people that, you grew up with in a small town, it's kind of like, this is the way life is, and it's such a good thing, I think, to either travel or to move somewhere else and to see what you're capable of outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I even now coming just back to the same country I was born in, I feel like that is what's outside my comfort zone now. It stretches me in a different way coming back, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it becomes the challenge.
Yeah. Is it because it's like kind of you're going back to where an older version of you lived and it's like there's this big difference now, or what's the challenge, do you think, with going back home?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. I travel for me has really evolved me, and I think that I'm a different person than I was yesterday. So 10 years ago, definitely much different person. And so each time I come back, it's really a chance for me to reflect and be reminded of how far I've come, and to practice my protection strategies and not get caught up into whether or not the people around me have changed or stayed the same, and whether that should affect me or not as the person that I am now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I totally get that. And I'm curious to hear, like, when you were teaching yoga and did you start to do like workshops or did you go straight into retreats?
Yeah, I started workshops. I did workshops for years. I started more local weekend retreats when I was still in LA. And it wasn't until I was doing my own thing that I really got up the courage to start leading international retreats from there. And the first international retreat I had, I didn't have an in person community at all. I was living in Bali at the time when I was planning a retreat in Mexico. And yeah, I worked with a business coach that really helped me gain the courage to actually place the deposit and take all those steps and actually believe in it being possible that people would show up for this retreat. And I think a lot of my clients when they do first come to me, either they've led some retreats, but they're not quite filling, they're not quite generating the income to make it worthwhile, or they're just looking at starting to lead more international retreats and different events, and they're just not quite, they're apprehensive, and we all have been there. I think I certainly was afraid at first, worried about the worst case scenario and what happens if no one signs up. So that is something that I've worked on a lot. And in the past, I certainly had a lot of self doubt and fear around putting myself out there. So that's something that I've certainly uncovered over the last 5 years of growing this business.
Yeah, that you led into right where I was going to ask you is like, was it scary for you? And like, was it scary for you to even start to run workshops at first? Or did that feel kind of easy?
Yeah, I mean, everything was scary for me. I
Yeah.
think, like, even when I started teaching yoga, I was terrified
Yeah.
to, like, it took me so long to find my voice. Yeah, I am a very sensitive human, and I am definitely an introvert as well. And I hadn't really put myself out there like that, in especially coming from, I was a coach, a skating coach. And when I shifted to teaching yoga, I kind of expected it to be pretty similar in a lot of ways. Like, you're still teaching people things, it's active, but it was a completely different situation. And to be in a room of 50 adults and telling them what to do and sharing your authentic voice with them is something that did not come easy to me. And each time I kind of upgrade my business or my lifestyle, those fears do definitely still come back. The
Yeah.
fear of not being good enough, or yeah, people just not wanting what I'm offering. They always kind of creep back around here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that because I think that, when people see somebody like you who's like successful in your business and you seem very established, and to be able to hear that, like, yes, you did struggle with all of those things in the beginning is so expansive and empowering for people because it's like, oh, like she was also scared and look what she did. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel very like I resonate with that a lot. I was also terrified when I started teaching yoga. I was like, I'm not good at this. I can't do this. And then I did. And then it's like, then it starts with the workshops and then it's like the programs and stuff like that. And every step of the way, you, it's terrifying, but you just
Mm-hmm.
show up scared and you do it anyway. And you just learn from it as you go. And then it starts to become like your new normal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I've always moved through the fear. I think that's one of my strengths that's gotten me this far. I am a risk taker, and I like to just go for it and see what happens. So I know that that's not easy for everyone, and I totally support that and recognize that. But that's what I like to pull out of in my clients as well, is to just give them that support so that they can move through the fear and breathe through it and allow things to be imperfect and allow themselves to make mistakes and learn from those and grow from those, because that's really how I've gotten here. It's from just taking action and learning as I go.
Yeah, exactly. If you just stay frozen in the fear and don't ever take the action, then like you'll never make the mistakes you need to learn. And I'm just wondering, like, as you've kind of touched that fear so many times, is there like kind of a core wounding or a core fear that's kind of behind that? Like, I know for me, and it's so funny because I've never been a perfectionist, but it's like I have a fear of people seeing that I'm not perfect, like when I mess up.
Yeah, and that's such a common one. And I think something similar to me as well. I'm the youngest of two kids. I have an older sister, and she was always like really good at school and like very smart and straight A's. And I think that it goes back to my childhood from just trying to compete with that or trying to keep up. And I've definitely seen that pattern come back around where I'm trying to please people, especially as someone more sensitive. I, for a long time, was a people pleaser. And it took a lot of reflection and moving through that and releasing a lot of that from my childhood in order to really move forward and allow myself to just be who I am and trust that the right people are going to find me. So I think building that self trust has been a huge hurdle that I've come over and has really made things easier, especially when it comes to my business and my lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you are working on that self-trust aspect, is there like something that you kind of always go back to? Like, is it just a decision that you make and you just kind of stick to it kind of thing? Or what's your process with your self-trust?
Yeah, I think, yeah, trying not to go back and forth on decisions. And so, yeah, when I make a decision, I feel into it. There's definitely a physical aspect, and sometimes I'll sit with that. I try not to rush decisions, but I do really go inward and listen and get into my meditation practice. I have also a pretty strong qigong energy practice, and these kinds of tools I use when it's decision time and I'm not sure, because we're all human and we all can have those wavering moments. And so, yeah, those are the practices that I kind of turn to when I need to make a decision. And yeah, just deciding that I know what's best, and if it doesn't work, then something better is going to come along as well. And I think that I've been through so many ups and downs in my own life that I know I can pull from those and see, like, okay, yeah, that part of my life really sucked, but look at where I am now, and I probably wouldn't be if I hadn't gone through that already.
Yeah. Yeah. So when that self-doubt kind of starts to creep back in, do you kind of go back into like the meditation or do you like notice it when it comes up and just kind of redirect yourself back into your like confidence, or what would you do when the self-doubt comes up?
Yeah, at this point, I think I'm pretty quick to just redirect and change the story. So just acknowledge what's coming up in my mind and acknowledge that it's probably not true, whatever it is that I am thinking. And then I let it go. So I think I don't always turn to meditation for that, but I think it's because of the experience I have through meditation and through these practices that it has allowed me to let things go much easier and just not dwell on the what could happen or what should happen.
Yeah. So you notice right away when that stuff starts to come up, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. And that meditation helps with that so much because you have that awareness to
Mm-hmm.
notice when things come up, right? Whereas before, the monkey mind was maybe just kind of going full tilt and we would spiral and we wouldn't even realize until you were kind of knees deep in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It's a practice, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I want to rewind back to that first retreat that you said that you ran. Um, was there like a pivotal moment for you or like a moment where you were like, okay, like I got this, like it's happening? Or what was your process through that? Because I know you said like I think you mentioned that you didn't really have like the clientele, but you were working with a coach and she was like, don't worry, it'll happen kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I knew that I had this vision of leading international retreats, and I had had it for years. And at this point, when I decided to go for it, I had been growing my business for about a year on my own, not really getting anywhere. So I did invest in a more high ticket one on one business coach. And that for me gave me the confidence and the support that I needed to go for it, because I knew that I had her guidance. She had led many retreats for a long time, and she was going to support me through that process. So for me, it kind of just, yeah, it gave me that confidence to actually go through with it. And it went really well. And maybe I didn't need her for everything that I felt I did in the moment, but it just like just the support alone took me over to the next level and made me ready to actually go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think that it's um such an expansive thing to hire someone and invest in somebody to uh like help you get to that next level. And I'm just kind of curious on like what your thoughts are when, because I had an experience a while ago where I wanted to hire a business coach, and I was in a place of like desperation in my business where I thought that they were going to save me, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I didn't actually like go through with it, but later on, I was like, oh, I'm so grateful that I didn't kind of go for it when I was in that state. D
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen a lot to like with you and your clients? And can you kind of speak on that? Does that like resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I think when I started working with business coaches, I felt similar. I was feeling really stuck at that point. And and so I did have really high expectations of like, how I everything would be perfect 6 months from now as long as I make this investment. And I think that that was not the right way to approach that, but I did get a lot out of that. And since then, I've invested in masterminds and other high ticket business coaches over the years. And when my clients come to me, I tend to support those who are not necessarily feeling stuck or lost, but they've already established themselves as a business owner. They have some clients, they have some pretty clear goals that they want to reach, and they're ready to take that to the next level. And I think that that's a really great time to invest in the support from the right person that you need. It's someone who is
Hmm.
walking the talk and has done what you want to be doing versus like just starting from scratch and feeling totally lost and a big investment right at the get-go.
Totally, yeah. So it's like, and the coach that I work with, she'll say the same thing. It's like, do the work first, try it first, because you'll get more out of the experience with a coach if you've already tried it, because you kind of know what's going on. Do you feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely. And I think your expectations will be more realistic as well. And a good coach is not, in my opinion, a good coach is going to help you elevate and help you step more into your own power versus like give you the plug and play and tell you exactly what to do and how to do it. So that's what I look for in my clients to make sure that we're the right match. It's someone who's ready to do the work and to step up and has that clear vision and is just looking for that support and guidance to get them to that next level.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that because everybody kind of has their own journey, and it's like, when you're coaching or a healer, it's like you're not telling them what they have to do. It's like you're helping guide them and support them. And I'm guessing that your coaching is probably a little bit different for each person, or how does that kind of work? Is it like intuitive?
Yeah, I definitely like to meet my clients where they are and really personalize the experience. So I have a limited number of one-on-one programs that I offer, but I also have a small group mastermind. And even in my group programs, I keep them small and intimate so that I can really understand each one of my clients' goals, their business, their lifestyle, everything that they want to achieve. And we can personalize that to them because for me, a big part of that mentorship is there's no one size fits all in these businesses. And I don't think there should be. And so it totally is different for each of my clients. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's like a red flag when you see a coach who's like, you have to follow this strategy and you know,
Hmm.
you'll get the results. Because it's like so much more than just strategy.
Yeah, totally. And I've been in some of those programs where the coach is very successful and they have one formula and they tell you do it this way and this is the way to do it. And for me, having been through some of those programs and realizing that that doesn't work for me and that just made me burn out again, that cycle of burnout came back around because I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do versus really listening to my inner knowing and my intuition around what works for me. So from then, I've really learned that I know with my business doesn't operate the same way most other people's businesses do, and neither do my clients.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so important to like everything that you receive, like every bit of information that you receive from like a coach or whatever, to like filter it through the lens of your own knowing. Don't just like take something as, face value, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think a good coach is like you're always going to be almost like confirming and validating like what somebody already knows, you know what I mean? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you're gonna be all the way over here and they're over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think, the last thing I want to be is like a guru, whether it's with coaching or healing or anything, because, yeah, as good teachers and healers, we are bringing out the magic in our clients and our students and helping them understand what their magic is and how to live that. So that's
Hmm.
exactly, yeah, that's how I feel.
Do you think that a lot of people overlook their own magic because um, it's kind of been there all along and they don't really think it's anything special?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially for women, we're kind of conditioned to do things a certain way or to kind of dim our light. And for me, certainly that was the case for a long, long time. So I can definitely feel for those who might still be in that place. And yeah, I really do think that so many of us are holding back from really stepping into our power, being someone who was that for a long time too.
Yeah, it's like the simultaneous fear of failure and success at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fear is good. Like, I think the fear is healthy. It's just how do we move through that in a way that does encourage self-trust
Yeah.
and and keep focused on what the goal is and believing that it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that self-belief concept is so important too, would you say? Is that like a
Yeah.
big piece of your work is like the self-belief concept?
Yeah, I think that it's connected to the self trust as well. And it's if you don't believe something is possible, like if we go back to retreats again, for so long I wanted to lead retreats, but I didn't really feel like it was going to work. It was just like a dream of mine. And then I started to work through that and I started to consider like why don't I like why wouldn't it work if I'm ready to put the work in and be strategic and trust the process and all of that stuff, then I might as well give it a shot and see what happens. And so when we shift our thinking to what is possible, we start to see things shift in our lives as well. And that's certainly been the case for me with travel as well. When I in 2020 when I was still living in Los Angeles, I was kind of dreaming of like, oh man, what it would be so cool to just work from anywhere and travel and lead retreats. And I had to shift my thinking to why wouldn't I? It is
Mm-hmm.
possible.
I love that you say it like that too, and I don't know if like you think the same way, but I feel like a lot of people who teach manifestation say you have to journal it or speak it as if it already happened. And for me, that always felt like something like didn't click for me like that. But when I started to journal and imagine like this could happen for me, like I could do this, I could do this, I was able to connect with like the excitement of the possibility rather than trying to pretend like I already had it.
Hmm. Yeah, and it reminds me of yoga nidra, which is a practice that I love and have been practicing for well over a decade. And setting a sankalpa, right? Setting an intention as if it's already happening and speaking that into existence. That has been a really transformative practice of mine over the years, and it's a practice that I love to share on my retreats and online in different places because there's something there around the energy, like you said, speaking it into existence as if it's already happening. You're creating it, and
Hmm.
the more you stick with a certain sankalpa or intention and keep coming back to it and feeling it as if it's already taking place, the more likely I feel it is to actually come into your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a concept that I speak on a lot too. It's like, when I took my somatic training, we talked about like the difference between moving away from something that you don't want and moving towards what you do want. Like having that big vision to work towards is so important. Like I definitely think that, we have to sometimes take like bite-sized pieces at a time, but to have that big vision, it's like if you don't dream up here, then, all of like, and you are dreaming here, all the stuff above, is of course it could still happen, but you're kind of limiting yourself in a sense. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's so important to like dream big. Like, okay, you dreamed big, dream even bigger, and
Yeah.
to just keep holding
Mm-hmm.
that and feeling it in your body. And it's like it's so or not uncomfortable, but like feels weird at first, it like feels silly. It's like
Mm-hmm.
trying on an outfit that you don't feel comfortable in and you're like shy about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a teacher once tell me, bring this statement into your practice and just ask yourself, how can this get even better? And yeah,
Hmm.
just even if things aren't ideal, you're creating this energy around gratitude, which we all know is so important, and what else is possible. So I
Yeah.
often bring that saying into my practice too.
I love that. And what else is possible? Yeah, I love that. That was my question was kind of like, what does it feel like now that you have created the life that you always dreamed of? Like, how does it feel to be living that? And does it make you even more passionate to share it with other people because you see like what's possible for other people?
Yeah, it definitely does. It feels amazing. And, there's no perfect scenario. I certainly still do have challenges, but for me, especially moments like this where I do come back to Canada and and I reflect on where I was 10 years ago and what my life is like now, I just feel so much gratitude for making the choices that I have made in my life and taking the chances that seemed absolutely ridiculous and that plenty of people were telling me it was never going to work. I was never going to move to LA. I was never going to be able to travel and live in Asia and work remotely, all of these different things. And knowing that I did it anyway and it has worked and I've learned a lot along the way is really empowering. And that really does light me up. And that, like you said, it really does empower me to share that with others because I know that feeling of wanting something more. And now I'm on the other side of that and I know that it is possible. So I just love creating that for others who are feeling that way.
Yeah. And when you were talking about how, people doubted you and stuff, would you say that it's like not the best idea to necessarily share those dreams with people when you're in that infantile stage of making your dreams become a reality? Like I definitely think that we have to be careful like who we share things to because people will try to discourage us and speak against it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is a good idea to be picky about who you share that with, but also to do your own work and build your own resilience, your own power, so that other people's ideas or judgments don't affect you as much. And that's something that I've learned over the years as well, not only to kind of not shelter, like protect myself from others, but to actually build my own power, build my own resilience. So I'm not as affected from the external noise around me. And I'm able to stay in that power, that self trust place, and still go
Hmm.
for it, even if others are saying it won't work.
Yeah. And that goes back to the self-belief thing too, though, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't believe in yourself, then when people say stuff like that, they're mirroring that to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's like, it's painful. But when you believe in yourself, if somebody who doesn't mean anything says that to you, it's like rolls right off your back,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your favorite part about like what you do? I'm guessing it's probably all of it, but is there something specific that like when you're doing it, it just really lights you up?
Yeah, a
What's your
lot of
favorite
it.
part?
I I do love working with my clients one on one and helping them realize what's possible. I think sometimes when they come to me, they have these dreams and they feel like these dreams are just that. And then we really look at the step by step process of making them happen. And I see these things come to life, whether it's their first international retreat or
Mm,
they are creating content on a new platform like Insight Time. I don't know if you know Insight Timer, but
of
that's
course, yeah.
one of my faves that I do a lot of coaching around as well. And it's somewhere that I've grown over the years as a teacher. And I think back to when I first uploaded my first meditation on Insight Timer. This was in 2020 as well, and I was terrified. And I was like, "Who am I to be like to be a meditation teacher on an app?" Like, absolutely terrified. And now at this point, 5 years later, I have 18,000 course students, and I have thousands of followers there, and new retreat guests coming into my world. I just had a few new retreat guests last week that found me on Insight Timer and consistent passive income there, and all of these things that if I had not just put that first meditation up in May 2020, I wouldn't have all of that now. And so that's something that I love to share with my clients too, where they might be feeling a little bit like I was. And as they start to create the content, as they put themselves out there with my support, that you see that kind of spark light back up and you see that shift internally. The subtle shifts are what I love to see, because as someone who's more sensitive, I can pick up on those more subtle energies where it reminds me of where I was 5 years ago and how it felt when those shifts started to happen and I started to grow as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love Insight Timer so much. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool and exciting to talk to you about this. So uh I imagine like especially when you get started because there's so many people out there with so many meditations and I know that like sometimes when I create meditations it's like oh like this one is probably the same in quotations as how many other people but um what would you say like about that if somebody came to you with something like that?
Like they're hesitant because they're not sure
They're like,
if
what?
it's
Like, it was like what you said, like, who am I to post
mm-hmm.
meditations on here? Like, why are people going to listen to me as opposed to all the other people?
Well, that's when it's important to get really specific with who you are and what your voice is. and looking at the bigger picture too, especially with an app like Insight Timer, something that I have an Insight Timer boot camp that I teach, and through my mastermind as well. And we look at that bigger picture, not just like, what kind of meditation should I make, or why should I make a meditation today? But what do I want in the future? Do I want that international retreat? Who do I want to be on that international retreat? What is that ideal student, that client avatar? And then kind of bringing it back from there. What are some micro problems that I can help that support them with? And then getting more specific with the content that you're creating so that it feels more, I think, meaningful as the teacher, and it helps you stand out and find the right people for your bigger vision versus just say,
Putting stuff
um,
out there.
yeah, just putting something out there for, again, if you're putting something out there with the energy of, well, I don't know, like no one's going to listen to it, then like you're probably right. Like, you know,
Yeah,
chances are, like, if that's the energy you're putting into it, you're probably right. So I really like to look at the bigger picture and work backwards from there. And the other thing with an app like that is it's also helpful to create some of those meditations that are really popular, that there are thousands of them out there, things like uh, a morning meditation or a sleep meditation, because this is something that is very popular, and in order to grow your following on an app like that that has millions of listeners and over 20,000 teachers, you want to have some content that's a little bit more generic as well. But I find that with me and my clients, the more specific we are with a lot of our content, the more success we have on an app like that.
for sure. Yeah, you want to be speaking to somebody that it's like, they're like, oh, this was made for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, I love that. So, do people specifically come to you for help with Insight Timer, or is that just something that you teach as like an option?
Yeah, that is a big part of what I share. I have a 4 week Insight Timer boot camp, which I launch a couple of times a year, where we really look at it's for either if teachers are interested in starting on Insight Timer or they're on Insight Timer, they have a few meditations up, they have some followers, but they're not generating consistent income yet. And we really go step by step in how to be strategic and shift to something more profitable. And also, a big piece of that is also for those who want to lead international retreats. Insight Timer is a great place to grow your global client base and to fill your
Hmm.
retreats. So that's a piece of it as well. So, especially my mastermind, most of my clients are interested in Insight Timer or already on Insight Timer and looking to grow there, as well as with retreats too. And they kind of like
Yeah,
intersect really well these days too.
I love anything that's like bringing us off of social media. I mean, I know that Insight, well, I wouldn't say that it's considered as a social media, but it's a
Yeah.
platform that's, it's not a toxic place. So it's so
Mm-hmm.
nice to be able to like focus on something that is probably burns you out a lot less than
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. And YouTube as well. I often compare Insight Timer with YouTube because I get a good amount of clients coming to me thinking that they should start a YouTube channel. And you can. And I have friends who have been super successful in that, but the pool is so much smaller on Insight Timer, where people are on this app for the types of practices that you're already creating. And there are only like 20,000 yoga teachers on Insight Timer versus who knows? I don't know what the numbers are on
Billions.
YouTube. Yeah. Like there's a new YouTube video every 2 seconds or something that goes up. And so I did YouTube for about a year pretty consistently. And I just felt like this is really, for me, draining a lot of my energy and time, and I'm not getting much in return here. So, for those who do ask me about YouTube, I always suggest something like Insight Timer, especially when you're in the healing space, is definitely a better way to go, especially when you're being strategic around it.
Yeah. And so I only ever have used Insight Timer for meditations, I'm pretty sure, but you said that you have like a boot camp or whatever. So that's like you're using the platform to teach, like I'm guessing to do like live calls or like pre-recorded calls or
So the Insight Timer Bootcamp is my own little training. So I do that totally outside of the app. And I'm just sharing what I've learned over the last 5 years as a teacher and how I've grown to over 18,000 course students on the app and retreat guests and all of that. And so that is separate for those who want to start teaching and making money on Insight Timer.
Mhm.
But the Insight Timer platform does also have, it has the free section and then it has the premium section where they do have courses and premium tracks. And that is like one of the pillars to generating more income on the app. So, as a healer, as a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, I do have courses on Insight Timer for my ideal retreat guests. And that's definitely a piece to growing on the app as a teacher, too.
Yeah. So they're all kind of pre-recorded.
The courses, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all audio, pre recorded. So I have a course up there. The first course I uploaded was probably 2021, I think. And um, it kind of slowly took off, and then one day I woke up and I think it must have been on a suggested page or somebody shared it, and I had like thousands of new course students overnight and thousands of dollars honestly in a PayPal, like in my bank account, just from that one. And now that course, every day I'm getting new course subscribers for that course that's 4 years old now. So it's one of the things I love about this app is that you can create content that is not timely and it just stays on the app. You don't have to promote it. People will find you, especially if you set it up strategically. So that's one of our uh, kind of one of the funnels that I teach in my mastermind and with my one-on-one clients around, let's generate some passive income while we are growing your audience, while we are also filling your retreats, and let's get you spending less time on social media and those places where I think so many of us, it becomes kind of our anchor, and we feel like we need to show up every day on Instagram in order to reach whatever goal it is. And for me, I certainly felt that way for a long time. And it wasn't until I started to diversify where I was spending my time and energy and that was when my business really did take off and grow into something that feels so much more sustainable and so much more spacious too.
Yeah. That's so cool. I'm like, oh, I'm interested. I'm definitely gonna go check it out after this.
Yeah.
I love the idea of diversifying and also setting up like true passive income that, it's most of the time when people say passive income, it's like they are still marketing for it all the time. But this is truly passive, like you're not having to do the marketing. And so that is, yeah, that's such a cool thing. And I'm just wondering, like, what did it feel like that morning when you woke up and you opened your phone and you saw all of that? Was that like just like a did you how did you deal with that? Like that must have been like hard to come down from even.
Yeah, it was really an eye-opening point in my business because up until that point, I really wasn't putting much energy into Insight Timer. I was like, I feel like I should throw this course up and see what happens and kind of create meditations once in a while. And I really wasn't putting any energy there at all. And that kind of showed me that, like, oh, maybe I should be starting to pay a little more attention to this app because we get these little insights or these little things that happen that kind of direct us in different directions. And for me with my business, I've certainly had a lot of trial and error and tried a lot of things that didn't really stick. And so I'm really being intentional about picking up on when something's working, let me give it more attention and energy and see what happens there, even if I wasn't expecting it to work. So,
Yeah.
Insight Timer is really one where that's kind of how it started for me. It felt like, as an entrepreneur, and especially in the online space, like it can feel a little bit isolating. I've certainly have felt that. And so when you're creating content all the time on any platform and you're just not really getting the turnover that you think you should be getting or that you deserve, it can feel a little deflating at times. So when wins like that happen, it's really, I think, a sign from the universe that like
That's
you're going
exactly
in
what
the
I was
right
gonna say.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
So
here's the carrot, keep going this way.
yes, yeah, very validating.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so nice to have those moments. And I think that it's really important to pay attention to like the small wins too. Like if you got, clients, one or two clients doing this one specific thing, like go explore that, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah, the small wins are so important. And I think
hmm
we often overlook those when we're in it because they don't feel like much in the moment, but it's
it's a
all of those.
sign.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a it's like a yeah, it's a sign from the universe. Like go this way. There's one
Hmm.
here, there's gonna be more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially if it feels aligned. And I think that if it feels scary too, that's usually also a sign.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I have one more question that I wanted to ask you. And when you said that your clients come to you and they have put in the work, they're ready to go to the next level. How long would you say it generally takes somebody when they're just like almost there, but they need that extra bit of support? Like, how quick are these people seeing results with you?
Yeah, it really is. It varies individually with how much time they have to put into their business, how much energy, and how much they've done before. So, generally, if I can think of a general example, I can share like an actual example. So, one of my recent
Mhm.
one-to-one clients, she came to me. She had a great in-person practice, yoga and meditation and energy work, but she was running around the city, leading workshops and some in-person events and things like that, and just feeling like it wasn't sustainable. And she wanted to have more freedom to travel. And so we worked together for 4 months, and within the second month, she had launched her first online course and filled that. And it was an evergreen, like self-paced course. And she started traveling and went to Asia. She went from the UK to Asia. And so while her course was running for that 8 weeks, she was at a yoga retreat in Bali. And then she was in a meditation teacher training in India. And she just didn't quite feel, when she came to me, she wasn't quite ready to launch the course on her own. She was hesitant. She wasn't sure of a few things. And so we just made it happen. And just in that course of a couple of months, it had happened. She also doubled her pricing for her in person and started to teach more online stuff. So we really look at like, what do you want your life to look like? And how can we put those steps in place now to start to see the changes within the next month or two? And it really seems to make a difference how ready they are. Like, you really need to be ready.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, because if
absolutely.
you're holding on to your pricing from the past or those fears, those things that are keeping you kind of playing small, you're not going to see the results so quickly. And I like to be very upfront about that with my clients because I want them to get those results, and I'm like in their corner working with them, and it's like a co-creation of the lifestyle and the business that they want. So I need them to be ready to make those changes and to put in the steps that are
Yeah.
achievable for them too, because a lot of my clients do come to me and their plate is already pretty full and they're looking for how they can make these changes, but in a time span that works for them, whether they have a family or maybe they even have another job still and they're looking to transition that way. So it really depends how much time and energy and how ready they are for that transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think that yeah, I'm in a place where in my business where I recently uh my life has crumbled to just me and my business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so scary, but it's such a good feeling too to like be like, well, I'm going all in. Like this is it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
it
that's
seemed,
exciting.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
super exciting and very scary and
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm continuing to show up
Good.
regardless of,
Mm-hmm.
whether my body's like, no, please, like let us go back into hiding.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's also so rewarding and so fulfilling. Every
Mm-hmm.
like step that, I take in my business, it's like, okay, like I see the next step, and it's like every time you take the step, you gain more confidence. You see what you're capable of, and it's like what you said. You have to truly take that action and take those steps
Yeah.
to, get to the next thing. And I think that a lot of the time people want to have all the answers kind of figured out, all the steps kind of figured out, but it
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't normally work that way. It's like you got to do the step and then you get the next step kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's never the perfect time to start, really.
Hmm.
And it's once you make that decision to go for it, things will unfold. And the universe always has the timing, kind of control over what exactly and when exactly that looks like for each person. But like you mentioned before, like you get those little signs that you're going in the right direction and you just keep following those with patience and self-compassion, because it's not easy as an entrepreneur for sure, and especially as someone in the healing space who's more sensitive, we definitely need to put those support people in place and boundaries in place and all of these things that help us feel like this is a sustainable growth for our business.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you brought that piece into like if it's such a big like energy output, like you have to figure out like what's right for your energy too, right? Which is also something that you kind of have to fine tune a little bit, I would imagine, right? Because
Oh
at
yeah.
first it feels like a stretch. So you have to see like, is this something that I can get used to, or is this something that my body is like, no, it's too much.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. And I've definitely been through that. And when I started growing my business, I was on my computer 12 hours a day thinking like I need to do this, this, and this. And I really didn't even have any direction on what I was doing and
It's like
totally burnt
busy
myself
work.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's like just the opposite of what I do now and what I work on with my clients, because everyone's energy is precious. And especially when we're in the healing space and we're spending a lot of time with technology and online and all of that, like we need to find a sustainable growth for our business so that we can keep going with it. And for me, that looks like just a lot of the time I'm only on my computer a few hours a day, unplugging for the evenings, for the weekends, and really setting those clear boundaries, especially with travel in the mix for me as well. I'm heading to Japan next week for 5 weeks and I'm going to be moving around a lot. So I know that I'm working a little bit extra this week to prepare for that so that I have that space and time to unplug and keep my business running during that time. So it's like really finding what works for you and your lifestyle and business and setting yourself up properly for that.
Yes, absolutely 100%. What's the next what's the thing that you're looking forward to in your business? Like what's the next level step kind of thing? Or are you just kind of in a place where you're just coasting and everything feels aligned and feels good?
Yeah, I think I've done so much growth in the last couple of years, especially, and really this past year made a lot of shifts with my programs and my offers. And so now I'm at the point where I love the clients that I'm calling in lately, and I'm just really looking forward to supporting those next level clients and bringing them into my programs and helping them reach their goals and their dreams for that next level of their business and their lifestyle. So I'm at a really nice place where I think I put in a lot of changes now that I'm ready to just receive the right people and work with them and support them and give them everything that I have.
Mm. Yay. That's so nice. So it's like you're kind of in like just like a period of like how do I want to say it? Like a rebound after all the growth. Like it's like the dust is settling and you're just settling into this new like place that you're at in your business. That
Yeah.
sounds really nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That sounds really nice. And just to kind of finish it off, is there anything that you want to share with the listeners or any pieces of advice or anything about your business that you're kind of calling in right now that you want to let people know about? I will be sharing all of Allie's links in the show notes, but I just want to hear from you like what, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm always happy to connect on Instagram at Ali Temple Mentor, and that's a great place to learn about what's coming up. As we mentioned, I do the Insight Timer Boot Camp twice a year, so the next one should be coming up in October. That's a 4 week live program where you get a lot of personalized feedback and support from me in that program. And the Rise and Thrive Mastermind is also starting up in October. It's a very small, high level mastermind. I only bring 4 clients in at a time. So, right now, there are a couple of spots left for that. And you can just learn more about me at my website as well, alitempleyoga.com. I also just started planning a Portugal retreat for next year. So, I'm like just in the depths of getting those details in order and super excited about that too.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I really appreciate you letting me pick your brain and getting to know you and just hearing, from your journey and your corner of the world and how you found success. It's been super interesting to learn about the whole insight timer thing. I really enjoyed that. That's something that I've always kind of come back to is insight timer for my meditations and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Sarah. It's been lovely chatting with you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, that's it for today. I hope to see you soon. Thanks for listening.